Hey guys, how's it going? So I wanted to talk about Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and more specifically, my impressions on the game. Now, I went into this with, not really expecting so much. After seeing the trailers, and the gameplay and playing the beta, I wasn't that fully, looking forward to this game. I wasn't, it's a Call of Duty game, so I kind of knew what to expect from the ground up, as we all typically do with Call of Duty games. But I wasn't like, there wasn't anything in here that was like really etching me forward to like looking forward to playing it. And I have to say that I went in with low expectations, and overall, what I got out of it was probably my third favorite Call of Duty campaign ever. Now, I don't review multiplayer, I don't talk about multiplayer, although I do play multiplayer in these games, but for purely my impressions and review sake, I only talk about the single player campaign because it's more or less the same experience for mostly everyone. And with multiplayer, it's a very unbalanced, kind of, an unpredictable state. So here are my thoughts on the Call of Duty Infinite Warfare campaign. Let's start with the story, alright? The story in this game is actually pretty interesting. It's nothing groundbreaking, nothing that just kind of, really pushes the bar in terms of a narrative, but it is very interesting, and it actually does keep you moving, and you want to find out what the resolution is. Now, the game has character development, which very few Call of Duty games do these days. This game actually does have some type of character development, and it really kind of makes you don't become like too emotionally attached, because at the end of the day, this is a very, this is still a short campaign. Even though it's typically a little bit longer than your average Call of Duty campaign, it's still not, a full investment 10-hour campaign here. So they can't do that much, but for the people that you do fight alongside with, you actually do like these people, and you enjoy, hearing dialogue from them. I'd have to say probably the best character in the game is your robot companion called Ethan. And has this, he's an AI, but he's a sophisticated artificial intelligence system that really can convey emotions in his speech, and acts as if he hears, feels, and can relate to a lot of what the other soldiers are going through. And his development is actually very well done. He's also written pretty well, so he has some really funny dialogue. He's able to crack jokes. And he also is able to play like this more somber moment. So he was probably the best character in the single player campaign. And then also your main character here, Captain Reyes, or Commander Reyes rather, he is actually a different type of character. It's interesting. He at the end of the day, he's a soldier like all the other previous Call of Duty characters that you played, but he feels a bit more grounded than the rest. He kind of feels a little more attached to the situation, like he knows what's going on. He's kind of battling with the right thing to do and in his morals at the same time. You kind of see him develop with those issues over time in the campaign, that he starts to feel, okay, just do whatever the mission takes, whereas as in the beginning, he's kind of being held back by his emotions to do what's right. And there's this interesting kind of inside battle that's going on with him, where he's dealing with hard issues, but also what he feels is right inside. So it's quite interesting in that respect. So I enjoyed listening to the story of this game. Again, it's nothing groundbreaking, it's nothing incredible, but what they did here is did provide you with something interesting, and something that you actually do want to see conclude, and see how it concludes and whatnot. Now, graphically, my god, this game is gorgeous. I don't say that pretty often, but especially for a Call of Duty game, but this game is beautiful. It really is a good-looking game that kind of gets the feeling of where you're at perfectly. Even though this is the future, it actually feels pretty realistic for the most part. Character detail is very well done. All the characters have a distinct look and appearance to them. And then the game has this seamless blend of, CG cutscenes as well as in-game. And for the most part, it holds up pretty well, to be honest. Now, the CG cutscenes, and I'm playing this on a PlayStation 4 Pro, it's a bit odd because the CG cutscenes are all rendered at 1080p, maximum detail, And they look really good in motion, but they look very soft, and you can see some, artifacts and stuff, because at the end of the day, it is streamed video. But when it switches back to the actual gameplay portion, you're actually quite surprised about how good the game looks and how well it holds up. the character animations and facial details are really well conveyed in the actual in-game, settings and whatnot. It looks very good just playing on its own. And it does give the impression, unlike the previous Call of Duty games, that you aren't just looking at cutscenes that just look so much better than the actual game. It just blends really nicely, and it's nice smooth transition, which is something that the previous Call of Duties didn't have. You didn't have a smooth transition of progression and whatnot. I mean, loading scenes are almost absent in this game. It's hilarious because you'll be fighting a level and then it'll say, all right, go back to your main ship, go back to your command center, and you go back there. It's you dock on your ship, and it's like a smooth transition to you're going up the elevator now, and you're back in the game. Basically, you're playing the game, and this is what this game does right more than any other Call of Duty, where the other Call of Duties had you fight in a level, break it up with a cutscene, and then cut to a different part of another level, or let's just say, you play all these other games, and you play this one segment, there's a cutscene, then it cuts to a completely different segment, a completely different area, right? This game is a constant progression in terms of where you're going, which means there is no cutting to different scenes and locations. There's you actually going to those locations. Like you leave Earth, right? You leave Earth and you actually take off and you have control of your airship. You take off, you engage in a space battle, then you land on a spaceship, and then from your spaceship you choose where to go and what mission to do, and you take your spaceship and you basically fly to the area. And it's incredible. It really is absolutely incredible, because I'm playing this, right, and I started to notice this later on. I'm like, damn, this game has a constant progression of its levels. There is no cutting. There is no cutscene to break things off between different segments in the game. It's just you go there and the game proceeds with what it's telling, and it really just gives you a different type of feel to the Call of Duty games that the other ones didn't have. That's one thing I really wanted to point out here. Sound design is also fantastic. All the voice work in this game was actually very well done. You'll hear some familiar voices here and there, throughout the whole game, but all the voice work was actually pretty well done, and everyone sounded very believable, very real, and just, like they were actually in the situation. Like, not at one point you're like, oh, this sounds a bit weird. Everything sounded authentic, So pretty awesome there. Now, this is a Call of Duty game set in space. I love spaceship. I've said this before that I have a huge, boner for space, more or less. I love space shit. That's just my thing, right? So, playing this later on, it's actually kind of cool, because you go to these locations that you normally would never have in a Call of Duty game. And in fact, if this game wasn't called Call of Duty, it would still be an excellent game in its own right. It just handles really well. There's a few things. I think the parkour in this game didn't handle as well in Black Ops 3, to be quite honest with you. Like, things like wall running just don't feel as smooth, like I said before. But it still is, at least from the campaign, it still feels, like your typical average kind of type of Call of Duty games, where you have different guns this time and whatnot, but you still have those tight handling controls that are very precise. And the frame rate, at least on the PlayStation 4 Pro, it holds 60 frames per second nearly all the time. There's a few issues with a few drips here and there, but the game kind of quickly, recuperates from that and gets back up to a full 60 frames per second. I just have to say that the game is just very well done here. I know a lot of people are going to immediately put this game off because they just saw the trailers and they saw the gameplay. And the game didn't have a trailer that was like epic. All the Call of Duty trailers, they're all geared towards like the people who really don't play games that often, It's like, oh, we're going to throw in this really popular song here. We're going to make it look fun instead of epic. And I think that the marketing team kind of needs to go back and redo this thing. Instead of making each Call of Duty game look like fun and crazy and all this cool stuff that'll make kids be like, oh shit, this looks awesome, or make people who are more casual gamers be like, oh, this looks pretty cool, it looks like a lot of fun. Why not convey trailers that really kind of get down to the nitty gritty of like, no, this is a fight for your planet, this is an epic game, This is a game that really just spans spectrums of different worlds that weren't available in the previous Call of Duty game. Then have this epic trailer with this great voice work, and market that game instead of the fun, casual type of, audience that they're going for. I think that would do just do wonders for them in terms of marketing and whatnot. Because that's sort of the biggest issue with Call of Duty is when you watch a trailer for Call of Duty, the whole trailer is geared towards the fun aspect rather than, no, look at this awesome story, look at these awesome locations, look at these beautiful graphics. They don't do that. So I just think that they need to market it a little bit better in that respect. And I also think that people's opinions on the game would have changed if they marketed it in that respect. I know there's a lot of people who are just haven't decided, I'm not playing this game. It looks like crap. I don't want to play. I'm not interested in the Call of Duty game set in space. But if you're looking for a Call of Duty game, a good Call of Duty game, and you've been waiting for a game that would have, that gave you that same feeling with, the original Black Ops, or gave you that same feeling with Call of Duty 4 or 5. This is a good Call of Duty game. In fact, this is the best Call of Duty game since Black Ops 1 that I can recall. It really is. It's because it has these moments. It brings back these moments, I should say. It brings back these moments where instead of having set piece to set piece like the previous Call of Duties have done for many years, it has these moments where you can just simply look around and take everything in. It has these moments where you can go in stealth instead of going full combat. Sure, there's a lot of missions where you have only combat as your main choice, but there's also missions that let you choose how you approach, and that's something that we haven't seen in this series before. It's not as well done as Battlefield 1's campaign was, but it's still a very enjoyable ride, and I think this Call of Duty is a little bit more conservative this time around with what it chose to do. And yes, it still has the futuristic parkour crap and the flashy action and whatnot, that this series has been doing for all these years. It's not completely, gone away from that. It's not completely different, but it is one hell of a ride, and it is a little bit different than what you're, used to all these years. All right. Thanks, guys, for watching. Have a good day.